Good afternoon and welcome to our webinar today. We're going to be talking about the recent online marketing survey that we did. I'm Chad Hill and I'm joined by Eric Rohrbach and the rest of our team up in the Rochester office.
Hey Chad. Yeah, we have a bunch of people and writers in the room, so just say hi everybody.
Hi.
Awesome. And just as a reminder, if you have any questions, feel free to put a question into the question window, and Eric will interrupt me as we're walking through this, and feel free to answer it. And I should say that today, I do think this should be a more interactive discussion because we're really replying back with or feeding back to you a lot of the input that you gave us individually, and we're going to get to see this as sort of a team effort here. So this is fun. Some of you may have already downloaded this and looked at our ebook that we put together on this survey. So again, if you have and you have some thoughts, feel free to jump in when we're talking about this on each of these slides. And then the second part of our presentation today, after we go through this, the survey, will be talking about a result of the survey was, and not to be a spoiler here, but we have planned out some new sales help that we can give you, and we wanted to talk about some of the initiatives there. So we'll jump right in here. Okay, so just quickly on the methodology, what we did here is we put together a relatively straightforward, simple survey that we sent out in December of last year, so looking ahead to 2015, and we sent it to all of the people that we work with, even all of our current resellers, some resellers that we've worked with in the past, and other people who we've talked to along the way. So we have developed quite a list of people that we would say work with Main Street businesses. These tend to be small to medium web design, web marketing agencies, and then a lot of other special type of firms that are interested in selling online marketing services. But we try again to limit this to people primarily working with small businesses. And from that, the first thing we wanted to get a sense of is it's basically what is the size of the agency working with small businesses. And pretty clearly here in this slide, we're showing that they are resoundingly, and you are resoundingly, smaller agencies. They tend to have less than $250,000 in revenue and tend to have less than 5 employees. And so we did have a few that were growing, some had grown to 5 to 10 employees and gotten their revenue up, and then some that even have grown larger. But this isn't really that surprising because at the end of the day, we know that that small businesses tend to like that one-on-one touch, and a lot of times it's you, the owner of the business or the leader of the business, who's out providing a lot of that assistance to your clients. And so again, that's probably this makes a lot of sense. So the next question we wanted to ask was basically, what did your typical small business client spend per month on online marketing in 2014? And you can see here that, again, these are smaller budgets, that 35% spent less than $500, 31% $500 to $1,000. And again, this is a retail price point. This is before you even get into outsourcing and wholesale prices. So these budgets are pretty small. And that's a lot of times a big challenge because with these smaller budgets, you have to sort of figure out what can you do to be most effective, what services can you offer. You may not be able to offer every service under the sun. You may not be able to get social media, SEO, local reputation management, website development. I mean, these are budgets that you're really going to have to look at how you maybe segment that budget throughout the year to be able to afford different initiatives. So then the question, if you dig into that budget, how are people allocating their online budgets in 2014? So again, we're trying to understand at the end of 2014, how did people spend their money? And then we wanted to kind of look at what's the projection going forward into 2015. So we see here that a lot of people are spending money on websites and SEO, and then there's sort of a next tier here of pay-per-click, email, and social media. So I don't think that this is a big surprise to us. I mean, website development, we talk about this all the time. It's critical, and we've covered a lot of stats that a large percentage of websites, at least throughout 2014 as we were covering it, weren't mobile ready. So we've been talking about getting your website mobile ready for probably 4 years, maybe 5 years. And really we're still, when we entered 2014, there was still a large percentage of websites out there that were not responsive or didn't have a mobile-friendly version of their website. And so again, it doesn't surprise me that a lot of money is still going into trying to pull some of these smaller businesses from web presences that really are not, in some cases, even worth investing a lot of time and effort in paid search or SEO, because they need a wholesale overhaul. So that's where a lot of small businesses were spending their money in 2014. And then right after that was SEO. And we know that typically that foot in the door, what we hear from many of you is that the website is often the foot in the door. You get your foot in the door, you build out a website, and then pretty much either immediately after it's launched or a few months after, the business is coming back to you saying, okay, I've got a great fancy new website, but I'm not getting any traffic. What do I need to do? And so, of course, that's where SEO comes into play. And then, of course, once SEO is there, you maybe get into some of the other pay-per-click and social media as traffic drivers. On the website front, we were curious, what was the average price point for a website? And we can see here that the biggest, where you guys at least were operating, was in the $1,500 to $4,000 range. Again, I think this is a pretty common range because this means you're getting a semi-custom website. You may not be getting something that is, again, completely custom, coded from the ground up with your own, literally from the ground up. This is probably a templated website that you're then taking and customizing for a particular client. And a large part of that fee, again, as we all know, goes into the hand-holding and the project management to work with that client, to gather the requirements, to help them write the copy, and then, of course, to take all that information once it's put together and actually build the website and roll it out. Interesting to note that again, there were some people here that the average price point was down below $800. That's a very inexpensive website. Again, you'd have to really be very clear with the requirements. Just our experience with the websites would be that to get a website down into that level, you really can't spend too much time holding hands, gathering requirements. You'd really have to have a very streamlined process to be able to gather information or to create very simple websites that don't require a whole lot of upfront requirements gathering, content creation, and visual design elements. We asked people then, what services did you outsource in 2014? And this changed a little bit, and I think this probably reflects the dynamics of our reseller community and all of you on the phone. A lot of people, the biggest group there was SEO. SEO is, very traditionally been something where it does require a lot of moving parts. A lot of people just feel like it's so tedious and there's so many pieces that you have to keep managed and under control that it is something that's easier to outsource. Web design, a little bit lower and behind that. I think in our reseller community, at least from all of the discussions I've had with all of you, there's a group of you that are very much more salespeople, and then you outsource everything you do. There's some of you who are web designers, so you really enjoy the web design component, but you don't do the online marketing, and so that probably reflects here. Content marketing, paid search, email marketing then are declining after that. And Eric, I don't know if there's any questions, but feel free to jump in as we're going through these slides if there's something that you want to ask here.
Yeah, I actually have one, just for clarification. In the first couple of slides, you had companies that were generating revenue, and then the next slide was companies by employee size. Mm-hmm. Those aren't related in any way, correct?
No, it's just we asked people. I mean, we didn't say, right, it was basically how many employees do you have and what's your revenue. So my guess would be that just the way it typically works is that the more employees you have, the more revenue you have. But it doesn't necessarily mean that's what it doesn't it's not completely correlated. Where if it was green, I think maybe the confusion was that green went with green. Yeah, let's go back to that. Yeah, so I think blue and blue doesn't mean that this is with the under 250, therefore it's also the under 5. It just happened to be that that's the percentages, and we just color-coded them based on percentage. But we could have had some companies with 5 to 10 employees that were making 500 to a million, 500,000 to a million. Okay, so looking forward, we asked people what their biggest challenge would be in 2015, and we had a nice little sort box so for those of you who took the survey, where you could kind of take these 6 things and move them up and down depending on what you thought were the biggest issues, what your biggest challenges would be. Number 1 was lead generation. Number 2 was service product effectiveness. Number 3 was service product quality. Number 4 was competitors. Number 5 was employee skills. And number 6 was technology. So that was really interesting. I'm again, sometimes you see these results and you're not necessarily surprised by them, but it is in some ways kind of how I would probably categorize the state of online marketing services for the small agency, because lead generation has always been the number 1 thing. That hasn't changed in many years. I think that as we've rolled through different Google algorithm updates and whatnot, I think that the service product effectiveness, service product quality, those of course have also been very important always, but I think they're even more important as we go into 2015, because that's obviously what people are looking for. If you need to get that lead, to get those leads in the door, and then to keep them is the ideal thing, right? With the recurring service model here, the critical thing is to make sure that you've got good quality and good effectiveness. So then we asked, on the lead front, what did you expect your top 3 sources of leads to be in 2015? And what we did is we just combined, if you put it in 1, 2, or 3, we just added those up, and these are the percentages that we got. So basically, 86% of people said that referrals would be one of their top 3 sources of leads. SEO, 59%, cold calling, 32%, other popped up pretty high, social media, 25%, pay-per-click, 24%, directory listing, native advertising, on down the list. So again, this is referrals, and I would assume that cold calling is kind of also wraps in business networking and other types of activities that you would be doing where you're out meeting people, but referrals are still critical. And we've covered how to get your agency started a few times in webinars along the way. I think we're going to be trying to continue with the sales thread over the next couple webinars. But again, we've talked about the idea of making those contacts, building the relationships, and then as you grow, things like SEO and some of these other channels become viable when you have the money to invest into continuing to grow your business. So looking again forward in 2015, we asked people what would their expectations for whether or not their client's marketing budget how it would change in 2015. And it's interesting because I guess obviously the lion's share here is that 50.7% said it would increase a small amount, 22% insignificantly, and no change expected, 23%. So pretty much universally, budgets are staying the same or going up. People are not leaving the digital marketing space. So I think for all of us, that's a very good thing to hear, especially when we're all out just trying to grow our businesses, to look at these numbers and say, like, the plan is to stick with digital marketing, with online marketing, and that just means we've got to continue to perfect the formula and work on ways to grow our businesses. I think this is a very interesting. And I guess, again, if you kind of look at this glass half empty or glass half full, you could look at that 70% are planning to either increase a small amount or significantly their budget, which, again, is a very good thing for all of us. So then we said, well, where are they going to spend that money? What are the top 3 services that are going to be in demand in 2015? And then we have got our favorite friends here, SEO and web development. We did not stack the deck on this. This is, and actually I think it's interesting because when we look at even our online marketing, some of our marketing efforts at HubShout, these are the two biggest pockets of demand that we continue to see. And we'd love it if pay-per-click was up there as well, but it tends to be, and you guys have told us many times, harder to sell, and small businesses are asking for websites and web development, and then as a result of that, that's very much what we see you asking us for. Social media, 38%, and I'll flip back because let's just go back quickly to one of the earlier slides to look at where sort of social media and content, social media and pay-per-click were earlier in the year. Yeah, so again, the numbers, the way the question was asked may be a little different, but you can kind of see how social and pay-per-click were kind of all tied, and that's sort of how it looks going into this year as well. Kind of got social, pay-per-click, content marketing, definitely picking up some steam in terms of what people are looking for. We threw a couple other fun ones on here, like marketing automation, just to see what people thought about that. I mean, I honestly, when I think about what marketing automation is, it's really just email marketing, but with a cooler name. So, and maybe a little lead scoring, which is kind of cool as well. But it's one of those interesting ones that is emerging. There's a lot of hype behind marketing automation. And something that people are at least dipping their toes in here, at least saying that they may be dipping their toes in. So that was the results of the survey. Again, we just want to share that with you. Sure, Eric, go ahead.
Yeah, I got a good question from Chuck. Where do you differentiate between social and content marketing?
Yeah, it's a good question, Chuck. And I would actually say that probably content marketing is a bit of the merger of what we would call SEO. It's a bit of a merger of, it includes certainly some PR components, some social components. So I think it's interesting, and again, I put a couple of these phrases on here just to kind of gauge whether or not there were people, whether there was sort of an appetite for some of these buzzwords that really are the same services we've been offering, just kind of repackaged. So again, I would say content marketing is, if someone was employed at a company and they were in content marketing, it's very unlikely that they're going to be dealing with title tags, description tags, and sort of core fundamental technical SEO stuff. That's probably not what someone in content marketing is going to be doing. And I think at the same time, if you were a social media person and that was your primary job title, you're probably going to be primarily looking for engaging the community, so talking, discussing products, sharing information from your company. But that's you're going to be kind of more focused on that. And again, this is in a bigger company where there are very defined roles, because the reality is I think a lot of times people are they're wearing multiple hats. I think in a big company where someone was specifically focused on content marketing, they're going to have two jobs. One of their jobs is going to be identifying interesting content to create and creating it, and then they're probably going to be working with some of the other people to help promote that content, right? So there was a great slide deck I was looking at earlier today, and it was talking about content promotion. So within content marketing, you've got the content, and then you've got the marketing of the content. And on the marketing of the content, it comes down to promotion, and there's lots of different ways and channels you can go about that. A lot of them are what this one deck I was looking at was talking about, being owned channels, like you're promoting it to your email list, promoting it through your own monthly newsletter, so another email product, through your internal webinars, so channels that you own, audiences that you own. And then there were basically earned channels of promotion, so that's guest blog posting, that's working to try to, a lot of stuff that we do where we're working to take facts and information you've created and then get that promoted and syndicated on other websites. There would be other opportunities, again, social media, to try to earn some mentions of that, public relations. And then there's paid channels where, again, you're doing native advertising, you're doing paid search, display ads. So when looking at those three things, so I think if you took those to me are the three distinct areas of what we call SEO, content marketing, social, I think the reality is that in a lot of companies, the same people are doing at least two of those, the content marketing and the social, maybe not the technical SEO, and in some places they're doing all three. Excellent. Okay, well, again, this is available on our website. Feel free to download it and provide feedback, comments. We'd love to discuss it more. We're pretty excited about this, and we're going to continue to do these types of trend surveys to better understand the market and where things are going. We want to switch gears here for a second and move over to the second part of our presentation, and that's what we're calling project pre-sales. So as you could see from the last survey, there were a number of people who are look at the number one issue they're facing in 2015 being lead generation. And we looked at that, thought about it, and said, what can we do to help address that? And this is what we'd like to do. We wanted to reinvigorate our proposal process so that we could provide everyone with even more valuable information that they can use to go out and sell digital marketing services. So project pre-sales, I should state this up front that this is initially available to the pro and enterprise level. It's going to be handled by our account management team. So if you are a Plus member, you'll continue to be able to request keyword research and use our current proposal tool. But what we're talking about today is available in the pro and enterprise tier. What we wanted to do, though, with this is we wanted to try to combine the basics of our SEO checklist that we do after selling a product or a project with proposal language around suggested keywords and an appropriate plan to help accomplish that client's goals. We also wanted this to be, again, we've heard this from a lot of people, we wanted this to be something that was easy for you guys to share with your clients, so we wanted to make it a Google Doc that's downloadable as a PDF, downloadable as a Word document that you guys could easily cut and paste, do whatever you wanted to do, and so we wanted to make sure that was the case. Just quickly before we take a look at the example that we have today, we wanted to, and from a roles and responsibilities standpoint, again, this is for pro and enterprise tier only. The reports will be built by your account managers. And again, I think that's really good because they're going to be more knowledgeable about the proposal and the information that they're providing to you. And I think that we very much would like you to include them in any discussions you have with the potential client. You don't have to, but again, they're going to be pretty knowledgeable. They will have spent time going through the prospect's website, so they'll be a very good resource for you to pull in if you want to have a call to look at how they might be able to help improve the results. We're going to be doing weekly training sessions internally where we look at all the proposals that we've done that week. I'll be leading that session, so our goal really there is to try to have a consistent approach where we're continuing to train everyone on the best skills on how to do these site audits, how to put together really good proposals. We'll be, of course, incorporating your feedback, but this is something that's pretty important to us. Okay, so let's take a look at one of these. All right, this is an example that we did for a random plumber. I think we went and we searched for Orlando plumber because everyone knows plumbers are my favorite examples to use. And I went to page 4 and I picked some poor guy whose website is on page 4 for Orlando plumber. And then we put this together. So this is a Google Doc. We will include your logo. We didn't on this one because this is our example, but we would include your logo. We would, of course, have your contact information on it. And then what we've done is we've put together a quick table of contents where in each of the things we've looked at, we've scored it on, again, a sort of A to F scale of where there are opportunities, where there are problems with the website. And then from that, we've put together a recommended plan along with the opportunity for the keywords that we think are best. And then we've put this doc all together. So let's screen through this. Chuck wants to know how long the document is. 100 pages. I think this document is 8 pages. Okay, so quickly here, we got an opportunity where what we did is we took the target client, the prospect, along with the two of the competitors that we found on page 1, and we looked at the opportunity here. So we basically said, look, your organic traffic's worth 215, theirs are worth a lot. We took the keyword overlap of where they ranked and where you ranked, and we identified some target keywords. And we selected, we looked at the opportunity, we looked at this category, we looked at the average CPC for Orlando plumbing terms, and we said, if this guy only has $249, he probably should skip it, because this is a very competitive category. So I believe in this case we recommended a standard plan because he really didn't rank anywhere on these terms. You can see him against the competitors, and he had a lot of ground to make up. So we actually picked only a few keywords here, so we sort of focused our effort down on 4 really important, what we felt very important keywords. Just this one alone, Orlando plumbing, is a pretty important keyword. We made the recommendation on the keywords, but we gave him some other choices. If he comes back and says, I really want to focus on water heaters because that's where I'm getting a lot of my profit these days, great, we can go back and adjust the keyword, the proposal for him. We then, down the next section, as we go through and we did the audit. Okay, so the first thing we did is we took those target keywords and we searched his website to see if they currently had a page on the website that had that keyword in the title. So he had Orlando plumbing, but he didn't have these other 3 keywords that we recommended. So we gave him a grade C. We need to add some content to this website to actually get some more instances and places where we can get that content in the page. We also looked at his site index. Not only just is it indexed, it looks like it was, but we also wanted to look at recency. So this website had 21 pages, and he had not published any content, I think, in the last 3 or 4 months. So really nothing new in quite a while. So again, our recommendation is, look, your website is sort of puny. You need to add more content, and you need to be refreshing that content more frequently. So we're going to give you a C on that. We then ran the website through a WebSpeed webpagetest.org to check for any issues with load times, and it came back with very bad load times. In fact, this is something we noticed just on the front end ourselves, that it took a good 10 seconds for each page to load. So again, these are simple things that are holding this website back and need to be addressed. So that's a clear F. This one could be as simple as contacting the hosting company to say, hey, what's going on? Speed up our website. Or it could be as a medium issue, like we need to move you to a new hosting company, or it could be that the website's so bad and so slow and so bloated that they need a new website. But at this point, we've identified this as an issue. We also checked, we see this a lot, again, this is kind of low-hanging fruit stuff. We'll see that someone did a website redesign at some point and did in 301 redirect old backlinks, and so there's sort of stranded backlinks out there creating 404 errors. Well, we want to catch those because, again, these are low-hanging fruit things that we found. If you can get some of these addressed, you can actually get a really quick hit on the website in terms of improving its rankings. Then we moved down to the offsite promotion area and we looked at some of the domain stats. So surprisingly, for a site with such a high domain, with such a high traffic value, that Emerald Plumbing and Choice Plumbing Orlando, all these guys have fairly low domain authority. The prospect client had the lowest. A1serviceplumbing.com had an 11.1. So we basically say, look, out of a 0 to 100, this is pretty low. You need a content marketing program to work on building your domain authority. We also looked at his anchor text. There weren't a lot of backlinks, but we gave him a B. It was a little strange. Like his brand was website and no text were ahead of his brand name. So ideally, we'd see his brand name a little bit higher up in the anchor text ratios. It's a small site, so it may not be an issue, but we gave him a B. And we basically said recommendations. Month 1, we're going to optimize the content, fix your website up. We're going to create some new pages up front to be more specific on services. And then starting month 1 and on, we're going to do content marketing. What we're going to try to do here is that a lot of times we found that someone will bring us a deal, And during our on-site review, we'll realize they don't have enough content on their website. Well, at that point, you've already sold the deal, so it's very difficult to go back and say, oh, we found that we need to write 10 new pages, and that's going to cost you X. So what we thought would be better is if up front we can flag that and say, hey, you might want to try to sell these guys some more content up front. And maybe that means that month one, we're writing content for them, and then we start the marketing services in month two. So, you have the flexibility to decide how do you want to kind of lay that out. We're going to come down to our recommended plan, where in month one we have the marketing service plus the content development, and then month two and on is just the marketing service. This is the wholesale price. We're going to leave the wholesale price in there. You guys choose what you want to do. We toyed with no price. We figured that's kind of confusing because what if you don't get the right price in there? We figured if we put retail price in, then again it's confusing. So we landed on we're going to put the wholesale price in there. It'll be the resellers will update that with whatever they want to add on to be their margin. And then we took the deliverable tables from the proposal tool, the existing proposal tool, and cut and paste them in here. So that's, in a nutshell, the new proposal process. Again, I'd love to hear any feedback that's coming in. Maybe take a second there. Yeah. So you got some people saying that if it's a long proposal that it might make more sense to present it live. That's great feedback. I think it's very rare that they read an email. I definitely agree with that stuff. I think a lot of people do want to go have a meeting. And someone's saying 11 pages is a lot. Well, look, I mean, if we're all ears here. If there's something that makes sense to pull out, we'd be happy to pull it out. I think the main thing, again, the summary, is that we graded the website here at the top, and then we wanted to make sure that we provided some keyword recommendations and did a site audit, again, to show the value. Because I think if you just take a proposal that says, hey, you need to improve your results, and it's going to be $1,000 or $2,000 a month, I think that a lot of times that's going to fall flat, especially when your competitors are digging in a little deeper and looking for some things, some low-hanging fruit that they can sort of immediately identify as valuable. Awesome. Getting some more good comments in here. Okay. Awesome. Well, I think, let's see here. We're getting a lot of some comments coming back in, just people providing some feedback, and we'll make sure we address some of these issues. And we look forward to putting some of these proposals together. So if there are, okay, got a couple more coming in. Looks like even we have some coming in from Adam, who's unfortunately out sick today. So he's getting to be on the other end of the phone. Yeah, we've got someone saying that sending proposals via emails is not a good idea to include the pricing. Save it when you meet in person. Start with the highest price, and if they're complaining about it, downgrade it. So that's good feedback. And another one coming in here. You all know your own customers, and they're all individual. Take the Google Doc and edit it for your individual clients. That's the beauty here. Good feedback, good point. We like it. So yeah, I mean, I think we played with the idea of how to best deliver this, and we wanted to really try to go to the least common denominator. That's why we went with the Google Doc. It's very easy for people to take that and edit it, and they've got a lot of exported formats that they support. And I should note that along with this, we'll be going to be announcing some interface changes where we've revamped the admin tab, so there'll be a cleaner path into how you request these. But let's bounce back to kind of next steps and how you get your first proposals out the door. Okay, so again, I've hit this several times, and I'm going to hit it one more time because I know someone's going to ask this, but this new proposal process is available to pro and enterprise resellers. To request one today, build a task for your account manager, send them an email, however you want to get in touch with them. what we need is we need a couple things. The more of these, the better. We don't need them all, but the more of these, the better. We need the prospect domain. That's required. Keyword ideas are helpful. In this Plumber Orlando, we've worked with enough businesses that we sort of generally get the keyword spaces. But if there are, especially for niche businesses or businesses that maybe have a very specific thing they're trying to go after, if you can give us some ideas, it's definitely going to help us. We'll take those and kind of run with them. Maybe we'll use those ideas. Maybe we'll expand on them, but that always helps. 2 to 3 competitors is good. Again, we're pretty good at using the methodology of search one of these keyword phrases and find a couple of the guys who are direct competitors, not a national player or not some sort of guy that does 8 services plus the thing that your prospect does. So we can usually find those. But if they have if 2 people are really going to play well in the proposal and you want those numbers in the proposal area, be great if you provided those to us. If there's a budget in mind, let us know. That will certainly, again, help us pick the keywords and know what we're dealing with. I think we're going to try to be a little, plumber would be a great example. If someone brought that to us, a lot of plumbers don't have very big budgets, but you can kind of see from the keyword spaces we were looking at, those are competitive terms. So we're definitely going to want to have that interaction with you to say, not sure this guy, we're going to have to go after some really puny terms to get any traction for this guy, or he needs to raise his budget. So we'll continue to have that dialogue with you. The one thing that would be really helpful is if you do have a closer connection to the client, Webmaster Tools would be very useful because, again, there's always some really nice nuggets in Webmaster Tools, some good trend lines. Their HTML improvements area that flags duplicate titles and duplicate descriptions. Those things are always really good for us to include in the report because, again, most clients have probably never even looked at their Webmaster Tools. So if there's a way you can get access to it, either by having them claim it or if someone else in the company has it, that would be great. And then what we're aiming for here is a 2 to 3 business day turnaround. So, again, give us as much time as possible. These do take, good chunk of time for our guys to do. So, we want to make sure that please give us as much notice as possible so they can schedule it along with all the other activities that they have going on. Yeah. Okay. So I think that's all I have, and there's a couple other questions just reading through here. So got one person saying the biggest challenge is to predict their return on their investment because everybody asks, "What's my return on investment?" That's a great one. It looks like we responded back to them. Now we have some equations we've built out that would sort of calculate what the value of a lead is, because a lot of people don't even know the value of their leads, and it is something that's often tricky to sort of tell somebody up front. We have we have other evidence. We could put in some surveys with some stats that show the average return on investment of SEO. So I think that's the best way for us to approach it, and then to look at the value of their leads. So we can look at that as a potential. We would need a little more data from you to sort of give us a rough idea of what a lead was worth to them. That might be something we could also include. All right. Well, thank you everyone for your time today. We will. Okay. Yeah. It's. I think the feedback here was that there needs to be another webinar, I believe, on return on investment and how to answer the question, "What's my return on investment?" Is that right? Yeah. That sounds like a great webinar topic. We will take a note of that one and dedicate some time to it because I do know that's a tricky question to deal with. Well, that's great. Well, thank you everyone for your time today. And again, we will download the ebook. Feel free to discuss it in our forum. And then the other, of course, important takeaway is we would love to have you, love to present a couple of these reports to you. So feel free to immediately go to your computer, or you're at your computer now, drop in a support ticket or send your account manager an email. And we'd love to get 1 or 2 of these things in the pipeline for you so we can show you how they work. Thanks everyone for your time. We'll talk to you at the next webinar.